Welcome to Nature's Guardians. I'm Micah Siegel. Each week I talk with people working to save and help animals around the world. They are nature's guardians, and you can become one too. Today I'm talking with Gavin Peters from Shark Allies. Welcome to the show, Gavin.
Thank you, Micah.
Great to have you here. So,
It's awesome.
to start, tell me about your background and how you got where you are now.
So I actually grew up in love with sharks. My first movie ever when I was 3 years old was Jaws. Probably not the best movie to watch as a kid, but it kind of fueled my passion for these amazing and beautiful creatures. Ever since then, ever since I was 5, my goal was to be on Shark Week because we watched it every year. It was a major thing. My mom was in love with sharks, and what happened was my mom started working for this company called Skins, and through one thing or another, it led to a partnership with Shark Allies. I reached out to them wondering if I could maybe volunteer or work with them. And because they're a nonprofit, they were completely welcoming and everything, and they totally welcomed me with open arms, and they said, "Yeah, sure, come on in." And I have been working with them youth outreach program kind of to talk to kids like you and try to start this whole conservation of sharks from a younger age. A lot of the ocean populations of all fish are it's kind of dropping. It's not very fun to learn about. So the more you learn to save or help at a younger age will probably be better. So that's what I'm trying to do is I make presentations for little kids to learn about sharks mostly.
Yeah, that sounds great. Interesting. Do you have a presentation ready for us today, Gavin?
I do.
Okay, let's hop into it.
This was a presentation that I made for kids in elementary school, and it's called Sharks Are Cool as Fish. Basically, it's kind of like an overview of it teaches kids what are sharks, and sharks are a type of fish that have been around for 400 million years. They're older than trees. They're kind of older than almost all life forms that we have on Earth. They're mostly made of cartilage, and they're super important. Over the past couple 50 years, we have humans themselves have dramatically decreased the populations of sharks through overfishing and fin trade of sharks. So now most sharks are actually critically endangered, and it's not good for our ecosystem because sharks are the top predator of mostly all their ecosystems. And when you remove one top predator from a food chain, it kind of starts this domino effect of all the other species go out of balance, and they help keep ecosystems healthy. Because sharks are fish, they have a lot of fins. They have 8 fins in total. They have pectoral fins, dorsal fins, anal fins, and pelvic fins, and caudal fins that help maintain stability and help them swim. They also have lateral lines, which are how all fish detect movement within the water. And they also have the ampullae of Lorenzini, which is kind of a 6th sense. And as humans, we have 5 senses, right? But the ampullae of Lorenzini helps the shark detect electrical movements in the water. For example, any muscle contraction within your body, like if I move my arm like this, or if my heart beats, they can sense that through water and electrical fields. Another cool thing about sharks is that every single shark has a unique set of teeth. It depends on what kind of food they eat. So if you're mostly eating crustaceans, you're going to want a lot of crunching things to break through the shells. But if you're going to be hunting fish, you're going to want a lot of needle-shaped teeth to pierce the fish and hold on to it while you eat it. Or if you're a big predator like a great white or a tiger, you're going to want serrated, sharp teeth that can cut out chunks of flesh and then, eat that. Another cool thing about sharks is that their skin is basically little teeth, and they're called denticles. And if you had a shark in front of you and you were to pet that shark, starting from the nose down to the tail, it would be super smooth. But if you were to take your hand and run up from the tail to the nose, going the opposite way, your hand would be all cut up, and it would hurt real bad. It would feel like you were just like rough sandpaper going up and down. And that's because all of the little denticles are all pointed in one way towards the tail. And yeah, it helps. The reason that they go that way is to help decrease drag and help the sharks swim faster and quieter. Another interesting fact about sharks is that they have a giant liver. So most fish have what's called swim bladders, and that's how they stay neutrally buoyant within the water. They can go like this and that without flipping over and just floating to the surface. Sharks have a giant liver in place of this swim bladder. and they have a lot of squalene oil that helps it maintain buoyancy instead of the swim bladder, and it helps it. Here we have the nurse shark, which are the only sharks that you can actually pet, which is really funny. If you go into the Bahamas, there's always a bunch of them, and you can just pet them. They come up to you. They're like little puppies, but they have teeth, so don't put your hand in their mouth. Then you have the sand tiger shark, which every aquarium, I'm sure if you've gone to an aquarium, you've seen one. Evolutionary wise, this is the most recent species of shark to have evolved, is a hammerhead. What's interesting about hammerhead is that they have that giant hammer-like head, right? But they have way more ampullae of Lorenzini than the other sharks do. And what that does is it allows it to detect stingrays underneath the sand. Then, of course, you have the great white sharks. They're really cool. They're honestly the most curious shark I've ever seen. Great white sharks are actually one of the fish that are warm-blooded. There are only 5 sharks that are warm-blooded. And what that means is that if you're warm-blooded, you're able to regenerate energy faster than cold-blooded animals. And this is important for this species of sharks like Mako, great whites, and the salmon and the porbeagle sharks, and all these mackerel sharks. They need this ability to regenerate energy faster, because when they reach sexual maturity, they go on these like massive migrations. Like they go from the bottom of California all the way over to Australia, sometimes to Hawaii. Like they just travel the globe constantly. So they need the ability to regenerate energy faster. And then you have the Mako shark, like the fastest shark in the world. Speeds between 30 and 40 miles per hour. It's super cool and it looks scary. Then you have my favorite, the tiger shark. It's easily recognizable. It's got stripes, and you have these really cool teeth that are super curved, and that allows them to tear into turtle shells, which is their favorite food. Then of course you have everyone's all the rave right now, the movies, the Megalodon, which is like this really extinct cousin of the great white sharks that went extinct around 2.6 million years ago. And yeah, it was 60 feet, and it used to hunt on whales. So yeah, that's a scary thought to think about. Then you have blue sharks, very beautiful sharks that they kind of just follow cruise ships and eat anything that falls off of them. It's also kind of sad because these are one of the biggest shark populations that are caught in fishing nets a lot, because the big trawls, they'll go in and they'll catch a bunch of fish to come out, and they'll catch a bunch of blue sharks. So their species is dwindling as well. Thresher sharks, they have like 10-foot long tails. It's almost like 2/3 their entire body length, and they go into a school of fish. They're kind of like a swordfish. They go into a school of fish, they smack that tail into a fish. The fish is stunned, and they go in this, just eat that right away. And then you have that gentle giant, these 30-foot whale sharks that are ram feeders. That means they just swim constantly at the surface and just suck in all the phytoplankton. They're harmless, but I wouldn't go in the mouth of one. Then you have probably the most dangerous shark known to man, which is the bull shark. And they actually have the ability to go into fresh water. There was a study that was conducted to see how long they can actually survive in fresh water, and the longest that one lived was up to 4 years. So yeah, there are sharks in lakes and rivers sometimes, and they're usually bull sharks, and that's unfortunately where most people get attacked. And then you have basking sharks, really cool, like the whale shark. They're actually found up in Ireland, but these are harmless. They're like the whale shark. All they do is the ram feeding. They only eat phytoplankton. And then you have like these deep sea sharks, like the goblin shark, super old, like way older than dinosaurs. Like it looks like a goblin. They're big. They're like 12 feet, and they weigh up to like 500 pounds sometimes. And I don't know, they give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know about you. And we also have the oceanic whitetips. These are the kind of sharks that just stay out way in the open ocean and go on those long migrations and pretty much eat anything that they want to hunt. Yeah, and then you have blacktip reef sharks, sorry. Pretty much like a normal reef shark. They just hang around coral reefs. Then you have Greenland sharks. They move at like less than a mile per hour, so they're not very fast, but they live for about 400 years at a time. Just the conclusion for that presentation is that I hope that everyone understands the power that all of these sharks have, and their presence is super important to maintaining a healthy and stable ecosystem within our oceans. And if you go to sharkallies.org, you'll learn all about why they're so important.
There's this rumor going around that, and it has been going around for a long time, that sharks are really aggressive and dangerous and you shouldn't go near them because they'll bite you and stuff. But based on your slides, they don't seem very aggressive. One species, you can actually go and pet them, right? They're like little puppies,
Yeah.
you said, right?
Yeah.
They seem quite peculiar and interesting and interested,
Yep.
So which sharks are dangerous?
In fairness, all sharks can be dangerous. You can be bit by all sharks. They have teeth. They have the ability to pierce skin. But there is a fine line between what we call man-eater sharks and other sharks. So there are sharks that are like reef sharks that are too small and too skittish to be, and they're just afraid of you. Like you're a bigger person than they are. They don't know you. You're not their natural food. You're not in their natural habitat. So they're usually either going to be curious or afraid. For pelagic sharks, pelagic means open ocean. You have these great whites, oceanic whitetips, makos, any shark that has a caudal fin that is homoceral, which means that both top and bottom are equal length. That allows the shark to swim long distances for a really long time. But if you have a shark that has a heteroceral tail, which means the top part of the tail is longer than the bottom part, it's usually going to stay closer to the shore, not really go very far. But yeah, what the difference between a dangerous shark and a non-dangerous shark, there is none. All sharks are dangerous, but all it depends on is how you present yourself to the shark.
Do sharks need to keep swimming?
Sharks do need to keep swimming. There are some sharks that don't need to, but they have this ability to suck water. So they're fish, right? All fish need to keep swimming to keep flow of oxygen through their gills. As they swim, their body, they suck in water through their mouths and it filters out through their gills. And what they're doing is they're filtering out the oxygen from the H2O in the water. And that's how they get their oxygen in their body. That's how they breathe. So if you stop a shark from swimming, they're basically not breathing. So they will not survive. But the nurse shark and some sleeper sharks have the ability to rest on the ocean floor and physically pump water through their thing and gulp it in and push it that way.
If they don't swim, will they sink?
Yes. Yeah, they're heavy. They will fall. Yeah. Like great white sharks, for example, some females can get up to 1,500 pounds. That's a heavy thing. If it stops swimming, it will sink.
So how do they sleep?
Sharks, there are some sharks, for example, white tip reef sharks, they actually sleep in like schools. They sleep together on top of rocks, but they're one of the sharks that has the ability to push water through their mouths while they stay still. So if the shark can stay still, it will sleep in the same spot and just filter water through their mouths. But if a shark has to stay swimming the entire time, they don't sleep.
So which species are most caught by humans?
Humans kill about 100 million sharks a year, and around, I think it's around 200,000 a day. Like it's an insane amount. So there are millions and millions of fishing boats throughout the oceans on Earth, and what they're doing is they're trying to catch seafood for us to eat. And they don't really care what they're pulling up, but at the same time, you put in these giant nets in the oceans, you're going to catch other stuff. They're going to catch sea turtles, they're going to catch crustaceans, they're going to catch sharks. So every shark pretty much is on the critically endangered list. From the giant man-eaters, from tigers, great whites, to whale sharks, to little baby like carpet sharks and nurse sharks, they are all caught and they are all overfished.
Isn't it the pelagic sharks that are most caught in these nets?
So yes, to answer your question, it is mostly pelagic sharks because the big fishing boats can't go through reefs. But at the same time, if the big boats aren't getting the reef sharks, then there'll be a littler boat that will.
Which shark species are more in trouble and which aren't?
Most species are, like I said, in trouble, but there are some in each region. There are protected species of sharks. So if they get on this vulnerable species list, they are put like, you cannot catch this shark. If you go catch this shark, you will be in big trouble. For example, great white sharks in Southern California and great white sharks in South Africa, they were on this giant critically endangered list. So they put up a ban of catching and fishing for these sharks, and their populations made a comeback. Tiger sharks in Hawaii are like massively respected through their cultural beliefs and stuff like that. So tiger sharks are super protected in Hawaii. You can't catch them. But if you go to Malaysia or Polynesia or somewhere in the Philippines, their population's not doing as well.
Of the 100 million sharks that are killed every year, how many do they just cut the fins off and throw the rest back?
Like 50 million are used for shark fin soup. So what's basically happening is that they'll pull a shark on board and they'll take a knife and they'll chop the fins off and then throw the other shark back in the water. And because the shark needs to keep moving just to breathe, it has no fins. It can't move. So it sinks immediately and it drowns. Yeah, so there's a lot of bycatch, which is when you're fishing for other things and you catch something you're not like trying to catch. People are actively trying to catch sharks to use their ingredients like squalene oil for beauty products and stuff like that. Like, have you ever had a fish oil gummy, like vitamin stuff like that?
I don't think so.
No? Well, fish oil gummies and a lot of beauty products like makeup cream and stuff like that, moisturizer, they're used with squalene, which is basically just dogfish sharks.
Tell me about the demand for shark fins.
So the demand for shark fins, it mostly revolves around China. They're the ones that have this shark fin soup, which is a cultural delicacy. And because China is one of the most populated countries on Earth, if not the most, I think it is the most populated country on Earth, there's a lot of people that want to eat shark fin soup. They will pay a lot of money to have shark fins. There are places like America, we have put a lot of states have put a lot of bans on the shark fin trade. In 2010, the Shark Allies founder, Stephanie Brendel, she was in Hawaii and she was the first. She helped craft and develop the first shark fin trade ban for any state, and then it was a landmark case because after that they started to use that foundation for a bill. And it has been applied to 14 other states. This picture here, there's just, I can't even count that many shark fins, but think about how many sharks that these people in Hong Kong have just chopped off the fins and thrown back into the ocean. Like it's an insane number to think about. And just looking at this, it kind of makes me upset, just honestly. But this is one of the illegal areas that reporters found a bunch of shark fins on top of the roof of a building. And what they do is they chop off the fins, they send them to the top of the building, and they let them dry, soak in the sun, so that they get a good crispy taste for when they put it in the when they're able to split off the cartilage and put it into shark fin soup.
So do the fishers just take off the top big fin or all the fins? Or
so here we have this one. Can you see my mouse? You can, right? Yeah, so this is a tail fin of a tiger shark right here. So this is the tail fin. These are pectoral fins. These are the dorsal fins up here. So pretty much any fin has it. So what they're doing in shark fin soup is that sharks, they don't have bones, they only have cartilage. And cartilage is it's like muscle. So it's like these little streamlines throughout tissue. And what they're doing is that when you dehydrate it, when you put it in, let it soak in the sun for a while, it dehydrates and it breaks down the proteins into this like kind of string-like noodle. So it's basically like a noodle in a soup, and that's what they use it for. And you need a lot of it, which is why they need a lot of shark fins. But yeah, no, every fin is what they're looking for.
What can we do to reduce demand for shark fin soup and shark fishing?
if you go to sharkallies.org and click the Get Involved tab, there are a bunch of petitions that you can sign, signatures that Congress and legislation can read. And if there are a bunch of votes and a bunch of signatures, people can actually, the more signatures, the more powerful the statement, right? So the more people that agree with this thing that is wrong, it'll allow the Congress people the legislation to actually change their mind and invoke laws that will help protect these sharks and stuff. But kids like you, the most important thing that you can do is share your voice, share your awareness. If you tell your friends, and if you tell 10 people and you get one person, that one person can tell 10 more people and he'll get one person. And then that one person cares, the more the awareness is spread, and the more you get people to actually sign these bills and laws to pass.
What do you see for the next 30 years for sharks?
In the next 30 years, it really depends on the laws being passed. Sharks have this really low reproductive rate. It's slow reproductive rate, so it takes longer for them to have babies. So if we're taking out more than they're putting in, over time, it's gonna result in a lot of extinction. Unfortunately, if you look through human history, we don't take action until it's really too late. In the next 30 years, it depends on the amount of bills and laws that are paid. If everything stays the same as it is right now, sharks are going to reduce in number drastically, like almost like 50, 60%. As of right now, future's bleak. But we have to have hope that the people in power will make the right decisions.
Thank you, Gavin.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. You can help animals by hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel. I'll see you next time on Nature's Guardians. Bye.